How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. It's the end of the year, and I want to finish the year by talking about some of the entities, some of the people, some of the groups that are buying Bitcoin now and moving forward. And it seems like there's a lot of deceiving or lying going on out there where people say that there's no demand for Bitcoin, no one's buying, the price is stagnant, we're falling back down. They're trying to trick you. I mean, just recently, we saw JP Morgan CEO say that he wishes he could get rid of Bitcoin. And then he became a participant with BlackRock. So they're going to be working with them on their Bitcoin ETF, an authorized participant. So just be careful. Watch what people do, not what they say. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to take a look at what people are actually doing, who's actually buying Bitcoin. So if you don't mind, hit subscribe, turn on that bell notification underneath the video to see future videos just like this one. There's also a link down there to Margex where you can trade on leverage. There's no KYC, there's no VPN. There's also a link down there to Blowfin where you can do the same thing. Both of them give a bonus right now when you deposit that can go towards some fees and you can trade with. So definitely check those out underneath the video. Bitcoin, sitting right around $42,500 now. A lot of people wonder why it's not moving. A lot of people wonder who's actually buying. We always hear about people buying, but then the price kind of stagnates. I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about 5 different groups that are really buying right now and that are going to be buying in the future. And just keep in mind, people will say the price isn't moving, but that's not really true. I see down in the comments like, oh, if so many people are buying, why is Bitcoin not moving? Look, Bitcoin's the best performing asset this year. It was up 158%. NASDAQ, a lot of people were talking about how crazy a year it was and had 1/4 the gains of Bitcoin. S&P 500, 24%, and so on. Also, we're at an interesting point for a lot of investors where the correlation between Bitcoin and tech stocks has fallen down to 0. So there's no correlation. A lot of people like that. A lot of people want uncorrelated assets to put in their portfolio. So that way, if one gets a little bit undervalued, they can move money from a different asset into that asset. Now, I will say, a lot of these entities that we're talking about today at this point are either really gearing up to buy a lot of Bitcoin in the future, or they've already been buying, but a lot of them buy OTC, over the counter. I've talked about this in past videos, but that doesn't really force the price up immediately. It's basically like you're going to an exchange and saying, hey, can I just take some of that Bitcoin from you? It doesn't cause the price to spike up because you're not bidding on that cryptocurrency. You're just like essentially taking it off their hands and paying them for it. But it does reduce the supply, which means since there's only a fixed supply of 21 million Bitcoin ever, it means that the price is going to go up when eventually people come in and smash buy it and don't do over-the-counter deals. Now, there are a lot of entities trying to buy Bitcoin right now. We already know some of the ETFs, some of the companies that are trying to get ETFs approved in the next 2 or 3 days. We may hear in the next 2 or 3 days that they've gotten approval. Some of them are buying. Bitwise just said that they're going to do a $200 million seed round for their spot Bitcoin ETF. So these companies are buying large amounts. We also know that some of them have already started to try to get exposure to Bitcoin through private trusts like BlackRock. It's estimated they have hundreds of millions in that already. So some of them didn't even wait to start seeding their ETFs. They went to the high net worth individuals and said, hey, you should buy Bitcoin right now. Probably told them what their game plan was as well. We also know that there are a lot of ads coming too. They're already dropping on Twitter. People or the companies that are having these ETFs are showing their ads, and some of them have put in a lot of time, it looks like, in some of these ads with some big name actors, like the most interesting man in the world, Dosaki videos. So they're going to be going after individuals. I mean, like normal people, you and me, are going to be getting these ads probably during the Super Bowl, during when we're watching stuff on TV, on our computers, when we scroll on Twitter. We're going to be seeing these ads because why else would you make ads? If you can get individuals with a lot of money to buy Bitcoin and private trusts and stuff like that without having to make ads. The ads are for the masses. And BlackRock already said over a year and a half ago what they thought about Bitcoin. A couple researchers said, although Bitcoin has an extremely large volatility of 1.322, the pronounced positive skewness leads to a large allocation and dominates in the utility function. The certainty equivalent compensation required to not invest in Bitcoin is close to 200%. In Exhibit 4, starting with a 2080 stock bond portfolio leads us to a 12.5% Bitcoin allocation, and a risk-tolerant investor with an 80-20 stock bond portfolio desires a levered position in Bitcoin of 106.6%. So they said basically no matter what your portfolio looks like, you should have Bitcoin allocation. Whether it is a small amount of stocks or a large amount of stocks, you should have at least 12.5% all the way up to over 100%. That is scientific. They looked at the numbers. That's what they came out with. So a lot of people will want that extra boost in their retirement portfolios. And keep in mind, volatility isn't necessarily bad. Volatility is the price you pay for having an asset that goes up a lot. Like so many people want to go back 20 or 30 years and invest in Amazon or Apple or Tesla. But what a lot of them don't realize is they would have been shaken out a long time ago. There's a reason they didn't invest in those, because they were too risky. They had too much volatility. So just having some volatility on Bitcoin is totally fine. That's actually an opportunity where you can invest when Bitcoin falls down to 16,000, and a year later you can be up at 42,000. So keep that in mind. There are also pension funds that are already buying Bitcoin. Major pension funds have earmarked dollars to crypto as an asset class in recent years. They say during a 2022 CFA Institute Investor Trust Study, 94% of state and local pension plans had some crypto exposure. Now, by this, I don't think they mean actually buying crypto. I think they mean that they had some kind of stock exposure to crypto, like some Bitcoin miners or Coinbase stocks, something like that, because that would be much too high in my opinion right now for how many people have actually bought crypto. But we do know that some retirement funds are already doing this, some pension funds. The Houston Firefighters Retirement Fund invested $25 million in Bitcoin and Ether. We also know that there are just large individuals that are buying. Like, this is a wallet. The great thing about cryptocurrency is we can see transparently what people are buying on the blockchain. This person bought 8,000 Bitcoin, which is $300 million, $350 million in a day. They just bought Bitcoin, sent it to this wallet, 130 Bitcoin, 100 Bitcoin, 200 Bitcoin, 1,000 Bitcoin, 1,500 Bitcoin, 200 Bitcoin. They did a lot of transactions, about 20 transactions, and just sent it to this wallet and are holding. They've done this before too. I mean, this wallet has come from nothing to where it is now in a year and a month. That is nuts. They have almost $2 billion in Bitcoin, and they've just been buying over the last year. Countries are also getting in. El Salvador president had announced a dollar cost average plan about a year ago to buy Bitcoin. They just bought a Bitcoin a day back then. Now they had bought Bitcoin before that too. We know that there are other countries looking at it as well. Argentina recently got a pro-Bitcoin president who was very against the central bank, wants to take it down. At least that's what he said. They've also now considered Bitcoin legal for contracts nationwide. So you can settle in Bitcoin. We also know Bhutan, the country, is building a Bitcoin mine. Already is mining Bitcoin. So they are contributing to the network by mining Bitcoin. They're confirming transactions and all that. I didn't even include this, but there are a lot of companies now that are buying Bitcoin. We know Tesla bought Bitcoin. We know MicroStrategy continues to buy Bitcoin. They bought 30,000 Bitcoin in the last 90 days. They're picking up their Bitcoin buys. So they are one of the largest holders of Bitcoin, and they're only a $5 billion company. I say only $5 billion because that's not even real. That's like right on the edge of the market caps that are in the S&P 500. So there are countries buying, there are companies buying, especially with some accounting rules that change this year. I think more companies will start buying Bitcoin. So in the end, with Bitcoin, there are only two things that ever matter: supply and demand. The supply is fixed. There's a certain amount that hits the market every day, but when Bitcoin miners don't want to sell it, well, then there's not really much supply hitting the market. So it stays steady. It even goes down in some instances because some people lose Bitcoin. And then you have the demand, which is picking up huge. So when the demand goes up, supply stays the same, price goes up. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video, but I want to just remind you how many people are buying. I realize we talk about a lot of these in day-to-day videos, but I think it's important to have one video kind of at the end of the year too that just reminds you about where we're going. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Hit subscribe, hit the like button too if you don't mind. Let me know what cryptos you're buying right now. Be careful of scammers in the comment section, and check out those links to Margex and to Blowfin. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.